We are live, knuckleheads. What's going on, man? It's good seeing you guys. I know it's a little off. I don't normally go live during the week, but I wanted to go live for you guys today because, switch things up, man. We can't always do the same thing all the time. And today, I want to talk about all things boxing, all things heavyweight boxing. But I especially wanted to talk about Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury potentially being the biggest fight in boxing history. I said it. And I'm standing on that because I do believe that this fight really has the potential to be the biggest fight in boxing history. And I think that's why it's so important at a time like this, where we're all locked down still from this pandemic, for the contract to have been conditional upon the fact that, we need to agree to a solid venue and a solid date. And I think, that's extremely clutch. Look, this is a fight that had the potential, had the UK been open, or had the UK, been probably, apprehended, or people thought it would be open at the time they could run this fight, this would have been the biggest fight in UK history. I mean, they could have sold out, soccer stadiums over there easily. Joshua was already doing that. So that's why I think such a critical factor in this fight is the site and the date and everything else that kind of goes along with that. And to be quite honest, I mean, I feel a little bit left out as an American, right? Because you would think, even at this day and age, you would think that, an American would be involved in the biggest fight in boxing history, or one of them. And they're not. It's two guys, from the UK, which is, big shout out to them, man. They're obviously doing something right with regards to their boxing and the way they're building the sport. But it does make me feel a little bit left out. But nonetheless, I still believe this is one of the biggest fights in history, if not the biggest fight potentially in history, and the biggest money fight in history, right? Because Anthony Joshua is an absolute star, and so is Tyson Fury. Anthony Joshua is one of these guys, man, that, you watch him, and he's just the perfect role model. Almost the perfect role model. He's, he's that kid that you want your kids to be like. He's the kid that all the other kids look up to. He's that guy. And he's also an absolute beast in the ring. He's a physical specimen. I mean, there's so many things about him that make you like him, right? And he's also got a ton of courage, man. He's fought everybody. He's ahead of the curve when it comes to, the fights he's taken at this juncture of his career. I mean, this guy was fighting tougher competition than most heavyweights, after 10 or 15 fights, than most heavyweights will fight in their entire lives. So, an amazing superstar in boxing, this guy. If you ask me, up there with Canelo Alvarez as far as star power. And then on the other side, you've got Tyson Fury, man, the perfect sort of yin to that yang, a guy who, a little bit less conventional, right? But a guy who's got amazing, savant level boxing skills, an incredible story, represents for mental health awareness, a guy who's, can talk the talk and walk the walk, a guy who can sell a fight, a guy who's, every time the camera's on him, you can look forward to something, interesting or intriguing being said, whether you like him or not. And he's also a guy who's so skilled and so good at what he does that he can tell you, I'm going to fight different on this occasion. I'm going to walk Deontay Wilder down. and go out there and do it in spite of everybody saying, that he wouldn't be able to do that. So these are two of the biggest stars in boxing. And the fact that it's a heavyweight bout, and I think a lot of people kind of forget that, especially us more hardcore fight fans, right? As long as it's a heavyweight bout, it's always going to be, unfortunately for the lower weight classes, right? It's always going to be a little bit more special. It's always going to be a little bit more special because people, for whatever reason, be it evolution or nature or what have you, they're always intrigued by the two absolute biggest guys, right? It's something about evolution. It's something about nature, that makes us respect the biggest, the strongest guys, right? It's about two of the biggest, strongest guys going in there and determining who the alpha dog is, And in this fight, where you have number one versus number two, and they're interchangeable. Some people think Tyson's better. Some people think Anthony Joshua's better. But in a fight like this, of this magnitude, man, you got the number one heavyweight versus the number two heavyweight in the world fighting each other. It's such a rarity. It shouldn't be, but it's such a rarity, and it's such a treat. And the winner is the baddest boxer on the planet. You can't say the baddest man on the planet anymore. I think, honestly, that has to go to the UFC heavyweight champion, who at this time is Stipe Miocic. He's going to get challenged, of course, by Francis Ngannou, an absolute beast. He's beaten him before. I don't know if he's going to be able to turn it back again. But my point is, the absolute best boxer in the world will be the guy who comes away from this fight as the victor. Now, of course, we've got a lot of the naysayers in the media and everywhere else. Shout out to everybody in the chat, by the way. I'm going to get to you guys in a bit. Anything you guys want to say, any questions you have, feel free to interject. This is just a conversation. This is a forum, man. I figure at least once or twice during the week, we got to go live as well. We can't, neglect Knucklehead Nation like that. But, this fight means so much for boxing. This fight is, another example. And, I always find myself crediting the people over in the UK, the promoters, the fighters over in the UK, with having the courage necessary to step in there against someone that can beat you, to make a fight as a promoter. Big shout out to Frank Warren, Eddie Hearn. And of course, Bob Arum is involved, but Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn. To make a fight as a promoter that your fighter may lose, I think that's an incredible thing. That's something that's really missing from American boxing. And I'll give you guys a straight up example. Right off the top of my head, the first name that popped up, of course, we're talking about Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. First name that popped up to my head when I'm thinking about the disparity between courage is Andy Ruiz, man. Andy Ruiz is a guy I think that's got so much talent. He's a guy that knocked Joshua out in their first fight, came in a slob in the second fight, threw everything away, flushed it down the toilet, all that opportunity and money and fame and everything else, those belts. But he is a guy who joined Team Canelo and Eddie Reynoso, and they're not messing around at all down there, in Team Canelo. I mean, they've whipped him into shape fast. But my point is, he's a guy who, instead of challenging himself in his next fight, having found himself as not only being on top of the heavyweight division, but having conquered one of the best heavyweights in the world, he's going to be fighting Chris Arreola. I believe it's on April 24th. And, that's just not a good look. That's just not a good look if you are a heavyweight boxer in the fight game right now and you're trying to make your way back to the top. To go back down and fight a guy in Chris Arreola, who I've got a lot of respect for, but I believe is 40 years old, and even at his prime, wasn't able to have the discipline necessary to climb the mountaintop. To do that now at the age of 40, it just does not make a lot of sense to me. Forgive me, guys, for whatever reason I'm seeing these super chat notifications going off. This has been happening with this app lately, and it shouldn't. Get it right Tuesday night. That's right, Alex Chavez. That's right, my brother. But yeah, I just don't understand. I don't understand why Andy Ruiz would pick that fight. I just don't get it. I'm going to go through the super chat real quick, or rather the chat, see what everybody's saying in there, and we'll continue the conversation. Big shout out to everybody in the channel right now, or in the chat right now. Also, before I forget, be sure to hit the subscribe button, the bell notification icon below. Subscribe to Knucklehead Nation if you haven't already. Join the channel, just $5 a month. It'll help me greatly build the channel and the promotion. By doing so, you not only help me build the promotion, but the only kickboxing promotion out here in California, man. And with those $5, you'll get access to our live streamed fights. It's going down when we get back. You'll get discounts on FightersRep merchandise like this hoodie in the links below. And you'll get access to our monthly only members meeting. So Billy Bob is in here. He says, what date is it? Is it in 4 minutes? Okay, thanks. He was talking about when this live stream was started. RGN's in the granite says, what's up, George? What's up, RGN's? How are you, my brother? Stagger Lee Goods is in here, one of the official channel members. Much appreciated, my brother. Appreciate you being in here. Be sure, you guys, by the way, to check out Stagger Lee Goods on Instagram, man. He's got some great stuff, beautiful handmade stuff that he makes on there. Check him out, Stagger Lee Goods. Support small business, baby. Alex Chavez, my brother out of Yuma, Arizona, says, get it right Tuesday night. That's right, that's right. RGN's in the granite says, should be in Vegas. Fury can retire like Rocky Marciano. Fury had harder fights. Vegas, I think, is out of the question, RGNs, because Vegas is still locked down, believe it or not, even for our own kickboxing events. I've reached out to Vegas, man. It looks like they're not allowing for an audience either. That's why you see the UFC is still doing their events at the Apex, and they're actually going out to Florida. They're actually going out to Florida in April to have a fight with a full crowd, allegedly, of 15,000 people for the Kamaru Usman versus Jorge Masvidal rematch. So, Florida's looking good, but the West Coast, man, especially Vegas, California, we got nothing, man. I'm still completely prohibited from putting together any amateur fights, and any pro fights I put together have to abide by COVID protocol. They cannot have an audience. And that is a non-starter if you are a regional promotion like ourselves. George Estrada says, what's up, my boy? What's up, George? Appreciate you being in here. RGN's in the granite says, heavyweight baddest man on the planet. Fury wins easy. I will say, I love the Fury versus Joshua fight. I love the fact that it's happening. But I don't think Fury wins it easy. I do think Fury wins it. I do have Fury right now, in my opinion, as being the best heavyweight. But I think it's a close fight. I think Joshua could beat Fury. I really do. But I think Fury is a superior boxer and the bigger, longer, faster guy. But I do think at the same time, Anthony Joshua has a style, right, that can beat Fury. And the reason I say that is because when you look back at that Fury versus Otto Wallin fight, Wallin stayed in the pocket, man, and took the fight to him and had a lot of success. And I think if Joshua stays in the pocket and takes the fight to Fury with his strength, which is, I believe more than Otto Wallin's, and his boxing skills, which are pretty good. Of course, he's got that Olympic pedigree and everything else. I think he can make it a hell of a fight. I mean, this is going to be a hell of a fight. So I appreciate you thinking Fury wins easy. I think a lot of people may think that. I think a lot of people may think AJ wins easy, but I think it's going to be a close fight, and I think Fury wins, but it's not going to be easy. And I only think that because skills pay the bills, man. I've said that on this channel a million times. I've always thought Floyd Mayweather to be the best boxer that I've seen. So, and I base that entirely on skills paying the bills. And I do think that Tyson Fury has the skills to pay the bills. Billy Bob says, does anyone believe it will be announced in 28 days like they say? I do believe so. I do believe so. And I'll go as far as to say that I believe this fight's going to happen in Saudi Arabia. I believe that site in specific is going to offer so much money to these guys, especially at a time like this, that they're just not going to be able to say no to it. I do think Saudi Arabia wins as far as the site goes. The site sweepstakes, let's call it. Ginger Giant is in here. What's going on, brother? Appreciate you being in here. So yeah, Billy Bob, I think this fight happens, man. I think it happens next. RGN's in the granite. Go get it, Ruiz. Heard Ruiz is fighting Wilder. Well, apparently there are plans. Apparently there are plans for Ruiz to fight Wilder after whoever he fights next. And after we know who Ruiz is fighting next. He's fighting Areola next. And whoever Wilder fights next, who, I've heard rumblings, it may be Charles Martin. But we don't know for a fact yet. And we've also heard it may be Robert Helenius. I will say that I'm surprised. I'd be surprised if Wilder fights Charles Martin. And I feel like I've even heard Kownacki, by the way, as an option. I feel like Wilder will take the weakest of those three, who at this point is probably Kownacki. I think regardless, it's going to be a tough fight for Wilder. I don't think Wilder's going to come back the same guy with the beating that he took. He's already a poor boxer. A very rudimentary boxer. He's got that right hand. The blueprint has been laid out on how to beat him. Smother him and beat the shit out of him. That's something that Kownacki can do. That's something that Charles Martin can do. I'm not sure if Helenius will do that. Maybe he takes the Helenius fight. I'd be surprised, though, if he takes Charles Martin. I mean, Charles Martin is kind of surging. He knocked out Gallo Negro in his last fight. He's got Manny Robles in his corner. And I feel like Charles Martin, from what I've seen from him lately, being around Manny Robles, talking to Manny Robles, I think that's a tough fight for Wilder. They're all tough fights for Wilder, if you ask me. But I think he probably does better with Kownacki or Helenius than he does with Charles Martin. Charles Martin, I think, has got some steam behind him. And Kownacki lost to Helenius in their last fight. So maybe he goes after Kownacki, Maybe he sees Kownacki as damaged goods. But that's always scary because Kownacki also has that, walk you down sort of style. I mean, it'll be a duel while it lasts. Whether Wilder lands that right hand or whether Kownacki can, pressure him and get him out of there. I think it's a great fight regardless. I'm supporting my boy AJ. Can't wait for this fight. I think it's going to be a great fight, man. And I don't blame anybody for thinking AJ is going to win or supporting him, man. Great fighter. Great guy. Very courageous. Has fought everybody. Best resume in heavyweight boxing, by the way. Anthony Joshua. And I'll probably give second place to Dillian White, believe it or not. Maybe Tyson Fury is third. But I think Anthony Joshua for sure. Best resume in heavyweight boxing. Only followed by Dillian White and Tyson Fury. Notice again the trend. 3 guys from the UK, man. That sucks, man. We need to change the culture out here, man. That shit doesn't fly at Fighters Rep with the kickboxing promotion. You're going to fight the best fight I can find you. almost every time, unless, I don't know, something crazy happens or nobody's available. So I don't like that culture. Don't American boxing my American kickboxing, ever. But yeah, AJ, hell of a fighter. Roy Flores says, GTFOHBS. Thank you, Roy Flores. Appreciate you being in here, brother. Sly Tendencies. My channel member brethren says, I don't hate Joshua, but his fans make me shake my head so hard I can mix paint in my mouth. Please let me know why. I'm interested to hear why you say that about the AJ fans. RGN's in the Granite says, I know I won't should be Jacksonville. Mass violence. Masvidal wins. You're right, RGN's. It will be Jacksonville. Maybe that's, somewhere they should consider doing the Fury AJ, fight. Actually, I think Dallas, that big ass Cowboy Stadium would be a good idea. But I don't know. I just feel like Saudi Arabia will probably offer some ridiculous amount of money, or somewhere in the Middle East will offer crazy money for this fight. I think the only other countries or region that would have a chance to outbid them would be maybe somewhere in Asia. They were talking about Singapore. I could see that as a potential, but I'm gonna stick to my guns. I think it's gonna be in the Middle East somewhere. Ginger Giant says, yo, yo, yo. RGN says, rest in peace, Marvin Hagler. Man, guys, one of the best to ever do it, man. What an incredible fighter he was. Man, that was sad when I heard that. And I'm not sure how he passed. I mean, I've heard rumblings of, him dying after taking the COVID vaccine. I mean, listen, I don't want to, talk about the guy's death without any knowledge of it. I want to be 100% sure before I discuss it, but that is the rumor that I heard. So if anybody knows any information on that, feel free to drop it in the chat. I just, I'm not sure what's going on there. Before I continue, guys, be sure to get your Fighters Rep gear in the link below. Help me join the channel. Hit the join button too, man. Just $5 a month, 16 cents a day. You help me continue to build this channel. I've been busting my ass, dude. As you guys see, I put out content every single day. So if you guys want to support me, definitely get your Fighters Rep gear. Donate to the super chat. Join the channel. It's greatly appreciated, man. I love talking to you guys, so it doesn't feel like it's too hard work. But, once the promotion gets going again and I'm still going to be doing this, it's definitely going to be challenging. And would love to live off being able to do this with you guys, man. I really enjoy this. Ginger Giant says, Valine versus Wilder. That's another good fight, man. The only thing is Valine doesn't have... Well, I mean, he's got some power, but I don't know if he's got enough pop, man. He's going to have to fight Wilder, though, the same way he fought Fury, stay in his face, and hopefully he can take that big right hand. I think it would be a good fight, man. I think it would be a good fight. I could see people favoring Valine in that fight. RGN's in the Granite says, nice, Mr. Flash. U17 for Oye says, it would suck if the fight not going to be in the UK, but oh well, at least we get in a heavyweight undisputed fight. Ain't had one since Lennox. But this time it's for 6 belts. How ridiculous that we have that many belts in the heavyweight division. And you're right, at least it will be undisputed. Again, I don't see it at all happening in the UK, man. I don't think it's possible that the first fight, at least, happens in the UK. I think Eddie Hearn, Frank Warren, and the rest of them are going to want to be sure, and then the fighters too, they're going to want to be sure that a full crowd is allowed in whatever venue they decide upon, because that's what's going to generate the most money. That's what's going to amount them to getting paid as much as possible in this fight. And they want that money. They're prize fighters, so they want it and they deserve it. Let's see here. Lost One says, who you got, man? I got AJ. My only fear is AJ's gassing out. Fury will make him work. I got Fury, man. I got Fury. I'm going to tell you guys why I got Fury. I wanted to save this for my prediction video, but we'll make it anyway. I'm going to tell you guys what I've seen, and a lot of you will probably laugh at me, but, I want to hear what you guys think anyway. The reason I got Fury in this fight, besides the fact that I think he's the more skilled boxer, is I believe Anthony Joshua had a certain identity as a fighter, right? He knew himself. He had a certain identity as a fighter going into that first Andy Ruiz fight. When he lost that fight, he changed his identity. He changed his fighting style, in my opinion, to a different style of fighting. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, he's got the ability to adapt. He's got Olympic pedigree, this and that. That could be true. But for me, I'm telling you what I see. I feel like he changed his identity a bit as a fighter. And he came with a new style. And he was a little bit timid. He was a little bit timid, in my opinion, in that second fight against Ruiz. And he had to be cautious. And he was able to eke out the decision there. Fine. But then came the Pulev fight, and I still saw a guy who was trying to determine what his new identity was as a fighter. I saw a guy kind of float back and forth between boxing and walking his opponent down. Between I guess you want to call it running or being elusive and walking his opponent down. And I wasn't blown away by the Pulev fight. And I got a lot of shtick on the channel when I said that. But, that's my opinion and I'm sticking to it. I thought that, he could have gotten Pulev out of there way earlier. I didn't think Pulev was nearly the threat that Joshua was making him out to be in there. And I just feel like, Anthony Joshua is at a juncture right now where he still hasn't determined what his identity is. He's got a sort of hybrid identity between what he was before that first Ruiz fight and what he was at the second one. And he's going to need to figure that out real quick and determine what his style of fighting is, for his own confidence, for his own safety, for his own sake, against a master boxer like Tyson Fury, man. I don't think it bodes well for him, man. And I think that's one of the main reasons, besides the fact that I think Tyson Fury is a better boxer. I think that's one of the main reasons that Tyson Fury is going to win this fight, man. And I'm sure a bunch of people would disagree with me there, but that's the way I feel about it. So that's who I have. I got Fury, man. RGN's in the granite. Wilder excuse. Right hand. That's it. Wilder. Fury hurts AJ. Anyone. Go watch Fury's fights before Klitschko. He fought a lot of harder people. I think his best fights before Klitschko, the best competition he faced was probably Chisora, who's, not bad, but not a world beater either. There's absolute rash of people on YouTube who think that Fury is actually drinking while he's training. I heard that about Hagler too on Tommy Hearn's Instagram. People on Facebook are saying he was battling COVID on and off really bad. Well, that's different. If he died from COVID versus him dying of the vaccine, those things are worlds apart. I would love to know what actually happened there. And people on YouTube are just absolutely stupid. That think, look, maybe Tyson Fury's having a couple of drinks here and there, but if you saw him in that interview where he said that, you could see his cheekbones sticking out. The guy is gaunt, which to me shows, that he's busting his ass, doing a lot of cardio, losing weight, and getting ready for this fight. RGN's in the granite says, Fight Island. Family said not true. Fury's mental fortitude and reach, and Fury will outclass AJ. Fury had 10 times harder fight. Go watch. Knuckleheads. That's all I wanted to say about this whole thing, man. We've been on almost half an hour. I just wanted to go live today, switch it up a little bit for you guys. We will be back tomorrow like we are every day at 7 p.m. So be sure to tune in. Tell your friends about the channel. Help me grow this thing, man. Subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon. Be sure to like before you leave, man. Hit that like button. That'll help the YouTube algorithm, push this video a bit more. and really enjoyed chatting with you guys, man. We'll talk tomorrow, and then we'll go live again